Hey, everybody. It says I'm live. Welcome to Fly Tying Monday. I have bad news for you. Again, Julia's not here. Phil is here with me. Say hello, Phil. Say hello, Phil. Phil.
Hello, Phil.
So Phil is here. Phil is going to help us out with links and read questions and all that stuff. Julia's off for Thanksgiving, doing some fun stuff. So Phil and I are stuck here at home in lovely stick season in Vermont. We call this stick season because it's kind of gray and all we see are sticks out there with a few dead leaves. So kind of a grim time of year until we get some snow. But I heard rumors that they're going to open up the trout season year-round in Vermont January 1st. I haven't seen any official announcement of it, but I keep hearing rumors. So it'll be interesting to see. Vermont's always had a closed season from end of October to the second Saturday in April. So it'll be interesting. I don't think our fishing will be very good in the wintertime, but at least we can get out there and throw a line. So we will see what happens. Again, I'm not sure if that's fact, but seems to be the way things are going in most states. New York State recently opened all trout streams. I think all trout streams, there may be a few exceptions, recently opened them year round. So anyway, we're going to tie, I told you we were going to tie a Perdigon today, and I lied. We're going to use the same materials, but I don't think this could really be called a Perdigon because Perdigons don't really have a built-up thorax on them, and this fly that I tie is sort of like a Perdigon, but I know the Perdigon police will probably come after me if I call this a Perdigon. You know, there's the official World Perdigon Society who polices these things, and you can't call a non-Perdigon a Perdigon, or they'll come to your house and take your fly tying materials away. So I'm not going to call it a Perdigon. I'm just going to call it a nymph. I'll show you what it looks like. So that's what it looks like. So do you think that's a Perdigon or not? I mean, it has a quill body. It's fairly thin, but I guess it's not a Perdigon. So let me. I'll leave it up to you whether we call it a Perdigon. But I don't want the Perdigon police to come after me. So anyway, it's fairly simple fly, but the reason I wanted to tie this pattern is that I'm a big fan of this. Why do I keep freezing? I thought it was my steady shot on, but I'm freezing. I'm a big fan of this material called Magic Quill. It's a synthetic that kind of looks like a quill when you wind it, but it's really durable. And you don't need to put any cement or epoxy on top of it. It's very, very durable, and it looks like quill, and you can color it however you want. You can get any color you want. So I wanted to show you how to use that. Mark says it's not a Perdigon. Okay. So anyways, I wanted to use Magic Quill. And the other thing that I wanted to use in this fly is brown turkey tail, because I don't know about you, but I have bags of brown turkey tail and I never use it for anything. I mean, unless you're tying like a Montreal wet fly, which is an old-fashioned brook trout fly, there aren't many patterns that call for brown turkey tail. And you know, if you've tied flies for a long time, you've accumulated some brown turkey tails. And if you're a turkey hunter, or if you know a turkey hunter, they've probably given you a pile of turkey tail feathers and you don't know what to do with them. They do make great wing cases on nymphs, and I want to use this stuff up. I've shot a few turkeys in my time, wild turkeys in my time, and I have all these brown turkeys tails that I don't know what to do with. So I use them for this pattern. And it actually looks, Graham wants me to ship him some spare turkey tails. Graham, you can get them like at any fly shop, or just find a turkey hunter. Oh, maybe it looks like you're in the UK. Well, yeah. Well, we'll figure out how to get you some turkey tails. Anyway, Roger says just call it a variant. Okay, Perdigon variant. Joe says you got a Renzetti vice. Congratulations, Joe. I bet you're really happy with it. Renzetti vices are just amazing. Okay, so I'm going to start tying, and Phil's going to read questions while I'm tying because I can't read the questions once I go to my fly tying vise. So let's start this baby. Here's my materials, and I realized I have to grab a jig hook, so I'm going to sneak over here to my tying bench and grab a jig hook. And I'm going to use a size 14 tactical jig hook. You can tie this on any size you want. I'm tying a 14, a little bit easier for you to see, and I need some size 14s. So there's a hook I'm using. We'll put it in the vise. You can see it a little bit better. And I'm actually gonna tie this a little bit differently than you may have seen jig flies tied. And I'll explain it as I go along. But I'm going to start out by putting the hook in the vise upside down, like so. And then I'm going to start my white thread. Now, the reason I use white thread on this fly, if you have the right color thread, you can just use the color tying thread that you want the body to be. The problem is that fly tying threads don't come in a wide variety of colors. So it's very easy to color this white thread with a waterproof marker. So you can make this fly olive, you can make it green, orange, pink, whatever you want for the body, for the abdomen of the fly, just by coloring it with a marker. So I'm going to take some brown turkey tail. You can see I've already used this one. And I am going to take some stuff. I'll take it from the top here. And I'm going to take a pretty wide section, about a hook gap. A hook gap in width. And then I'm going to cut it to shorten it up a little bit, even off the ends. And then this gets a little fussy, but I want this to lay up against the eye, and it just gets a little fussy here to get it in there. Just get it in there. Don't worry if it lies flat or anything. And then wind it up right up to the eye, right up to it, like so. Let's see, is that close enough? Yeah, that's good. That's going to be my wing case. And then come back and, oh, good idea to cut this shorter. You don't need all that. So I'm gonna cut this off, make it a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to trim this part here. Okay.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Look, I'm Julia. Anyway, Mark wants to know, is this who created this fly? Is this your invention?
Yeah, this is my pattern. You know, it's funny that someone should ask that because I see these fly tying demos on YouTube and on Instagram, and they're new fly, and they're all just a variation of some Perdigon or something. They all look the same. I don't know why somebody needs a fly tying lesson when somebody changes the thorax color on a Perdigon, but anyway, yeah, it is my pattern, but it's nothing that innovative. Okay, so I'm going to take this out of the vise. Actually, yeah, I got to take it out of the vise, and I'm going to put my bead on now. So I want to fold that wing case over the bead. So there's my arrangement so far, and then I'm going to grab not an 1/8 inch bead, but the next size smaller, which I can never remember the fractions. I usually work in millimeters. And then I'm going to find the round side, not this. This is a slotted bead. Has to be a slotted bead to go on this jig hook. And I'm going to find the side of the bead with the round end, not the slot. And I'm going to poke the bead through there. And then on your next step, you're going to have to force that bead over that thread. So it's best to put it back in the vise. And you don't really have to do this. The reason I do it this way is that most mayflies are half thorax and half abdomen. And when you tie in the bead without pulling the wing case over it, it makes the wing case look too short. So I like to pull the wing case over the bead. The other thing is, not that it really matters that much, but the wing case, this thing is going to ride hook point up, and so the wing case is going to be on the upper part of the fly. Nymphs tumble in the water, so it really doesn't matter where you put your wing case because they do a lot of tumbling in the water. They're upside down and sideways and backwards and everything. But just to keep myself happy, I'm making the wing case. And then you have to kind of force this bead into the right spot. You may have to twirl it a little bit and push it. There it goes. So now that you want that bead center of gravity to be above the hook shank so that this rides hook up. So now I've got it in the right place. That's going to ride like a jig fly. And now I can reattach my thread. Any other questions at this point, Philip? No?
No, sir.
Okay. So now I'm going to take my tails, and typically with these jig type flies and Euro nymphing style flies, people like to use Coq de Leon. It has a nice speckling to it, so it looks like a natural nymph leg, and it's very durable. I'm just going to grab one of these and get rid of this fluff at the bottom. Just I broke it. That's okay. I can use these. Put that one away. And I will grab, I don't know, 4, 6 fibers, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever you want. Mayflies either have 2 or 3 tails, but as Harry Darby, the great Catskill fly tyer, used to say, if the trout could count, we'd all be in trouble. And then I'm just going to pluck those from the stem. So I've got my tail fibers here. And I want these to be a little shorter than the shank length, so I'm going to lay them right about there. And just secure those to the hook shank. And I'm going to pull them up and toward me a little bit so that they stay on top, because the thread's going to roll them to the far side by pulling up and toward me. And I like to let them come down around the bend a little bit. Just gives that fly a little bit of a curved shape. And then I'm going to cut off this stuff. Now I'm going to prepare my magic quill. And this is easy. So this is, if you're used to working with a peacock quill or goose biots or anything else, this stuff is going to be a revelation. It's synthetic, pre-printed, and this is the small size. And at either end, there's going to be a piece that really isn't any good. You have to take this from the middle where it's printed properly. It's not really printed properly on both sides. And you just peel a piece off. I can find out where there is a piece left. A little bit hard to sometimes. If I wasn't doing this in front of the camera, it would be easier. And so there is my piece of magic quill. And hard to see there, but it's tapered. So it's just a transparent piece of plastic with a little black line on it. That is really hard to see that black line there. Now you can see it when I hold it against this white. You can see a little black line there, and it's tapered. So I don't know why you'd ever want to get anything other than the small size of this. But anyway, it comes in small, medium, and large. But I would just, if I were you, I'd just get the small, make it easy. And then I'm going to take the, and I'm not going to start quite at the end. I'm going to cut a little bit of this off because I want a little, I don't want it so small there. And I'm just going to attach this to the shank. And if you want to build it up a little bit, if you want a little taper, just a little bit of a taper, you can come back. So you have a little bit of a taper. You might want to also spin your thread counterclockwise to flatten it. I don't find it's necessary here. And now you just figure out what color you want your nymph body to be. And I'm going to make this fly all brown. There's a lot of mayflies that are kind of a brownish tannish. So I'm just going to take a permanent marker and just mark this whole underbody here. So you see why I'm using white thread, because I can get any color I want. And you could mix a couple colors too. I could throw a little bit of olive in here if I wanted to. The other thing you could do is you could actually have color your thread before you wind it. And then you just wind this stuff, and this is the beauty of magic quill. It's really durable and stretchy. So you can yank on this. With a normal quill, you'd have to be really careful of how hard you pull on it, but you can pull as hard as you want on this stuff. It's really strong. And you're going to have your nice segmented body with a little black stripe that looks like an insect body. And you don't need to put any UV epoxy or anything on top of that. That stuff's really strong. So there's my body. Those tails a little bit. And now I'm going to take some more of that brown turkey. And I find the stuff from the bottom works a little bit better. So I'm going to take about the same amount as I did with the wing case. And I'll cut the ends off just to even them out. Some of the ends are kind of, it's uneven and it's kind of weak there, just like with pheasant tail or peacock or anything. So I'm just going to cut that part off. And then I'm going to tie this in. I'm going to start here. I'm going to wind it up to the bead. And then I'm going to wind back. And you could just take this turkey, twist it a little bit, and wind it for your thorax. And you'll see it looks an awful lot like pheasant tail. And then I will tie that off. Cut it. And then I'm going to turn my fly upside down so that I can now fold that wing case back and it'll be on the top of the fly. I'm just going to fold that back, kind of flatten it out, tie it in place, and trim the excess very carefully here. And I'll just cover those up. And now I can whip finish behind the wing case.
We got a question, Tom.
What?
We got a question.
Okay. Question.
Does it matter what position the black on the quill is when you tie it in?
I don't pay any attention to it.
There you go.
it might, but I don't pay any attention to it. Now I'm going to just hit my white thread again with that brown marker, so that I don't see that white thread. And again, you could, you really wanted to, you could just tie this with whatever color you want the body, if you can find the right thread color. And now I'm going to put I do want to put some UV epoxy on that wing case. It'll build it up a little bit, make a little bump, make it shine a little bit, and it'll make it durable. So I'm just going to take some thin UV cure epoxy. To the wing case. Make sure there's none in the eye, which there is not. Hit it with my UV light. Avert your eyes. Don't let me shine the UV light right in your eyes. And we're done. So, a little bit different take on a Perdigon. I like the proportions. I like the way the proportions look better than on a Perdigon, because the wing case goes over the whole thorax. It's half, you can see it's basically half abdomen and half thorax, which is the way natural flies are. And yeah, it's there's not a lot of flash in there, and there's not a hot spot. You could Somebody's going to ask me if you could put a hotspot in there. And I would say most certainly you could put a hotspot in there if you want. How does it fish? Mark wants to know fish is terrible. Never catches fish. I don't catch fish. I'm on a skunk. I'm on the skunk trail these days. I don't catch fish anymore. What type of marker are you using? You know, any waterproof marker works. Sharpies. I bought some online that are called Shuttle Art, and they seem to work fine. They were cheap and they were in the right colors. So Shuttle Art markers. What other colors do you like for this fly? So olive would be another natural, or you might mix a little olive with brown. That would be something else to do. Yes, you could use FUD. You could certainly use dubbing for the thorax if you wanted to. I like the turkey. The turkey's is going to sink a little bit better than dubbing. It'll hold less water. It's a little more absorbent, and it looks a little more I don't know, mayfly-like. Looks like pheasant tail. What size hook works best? The hook size that the trout want on that particular day. So, you know, typically 14, 16, 18 are the sizes that I would use. But and really depends on, you know, when you're Euro-nymphing, it's almost more dependent because you're not really imitating something. It almost more depends on the sink rate you want. So, you know, the 14s for deep, heavy water, 16s for moderate current, and the 18s for either when fish, you think fish are taking smaller bugs, or when you're fishing shallower. So, Joe, I think this could be fished year round. Certainly, I mean, any nymph can be fished year round for the most part. There's always little. This could imitate little stonefly, little brown stone, which are little brown stone, little black stone. Those things are active all winter long. So it could imitate that. It could imitate it's a little big for a blue-wing olive, but it could imitate some of the smaller mayflies that you see through the season. Can you use rabbit tongue or hyena scrotal fur? Yes, hyena scrotal fur is an excellent dubbing. Orvis is going to carry it next week. They're gonna add it to the website. So yeah, hyena scrotal fur. I don't rabbit tongue is I don't know. It's it doesn't hold up as well. It doesn't last, and when you have a Ziploc bag of rabbit tongue and it's been sitting in your drawer for a couple of months, it gets pretty stinky. So I probably wouldn't use rabbit tongue on this, but hyena scrotal fur is one of my favorite dubbings. Can we see this video from the start? Yes, Andrew, you can see it. It'll be archived both on the Orvis YouTube page and the Orvis Facebook page as soon as we close this. So you can go back and see the beginning. We always archive these. We keep these forever. I don't think we archived the old ones that I did on my iPhone. Those are pretty bad. But now that we've got better cameras and better broadcast quality, yeah, we archive all of them. So. Well, Joe, thank you, and I hope you and your family have a very happy Thanksgiving. Any other? Did I miss any questions?
I don't think so. I think you got them all.
I got them all. Okay, well, we're pretty early today. It's a quick fly, quick, easy, relatively easy fly. Certainly, I'll stay here and answer questions if you have any other questions. I'm not going anywhere. The house is quiet because everybody's gone. Do you use Japanese style kabari fly as well? You know, I don't use them, but I'm intrigued by them. I have used a tenkara rod, but typically with standard flies. But I like that kabari style where you can jig it and pull it with the the hackle facing forward. We should probably tie one of those on this, but I'm intrigued by those flies, and I would like to experiment with them. I'd like to learn about using them. Got some golden badger saddle. Well, Mike, golden badger is hard to find, and that's cool that you have some. It's been really difficult to get, and there are a lot of traditional landlocked salmon and trout streamers, feather streamers that use golden badger. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, if you go back and look historically in Joe Bates's streamer book, you can find a copy of that. There are a lot of traditional feather streamers that use golden badger. You could use it for intruder style flies for a hackling, because you get that dark center with the contrasting white tips. If it's small enough, you could make some really cool soft tackles with that golden badger, but probably a little too big for soft tackles. But traditional feather wing streamers, golden badger, and it's really realistic because it's got that dark center line with the light on either side. So it's hard to find, and that's cool that you got some of that. What else? Any other final questions? Got the rabbit tongue thing done. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Oh yeah, you saw my sticker. I'm a huge fly fisherman. Absolutely, I'm huge. Not as huge as I used to be. Do you think we should use intruder flies with circle hooks to avoid snagging during salmon season? The Orvis intruder hook is fairly cut in. It's like this. It's got a curved point to it. So I think using that hook, you would avoid snagging more. But I don't know about circle hooks on intruders. No, Mike, I am not going to the Edison Fly Fishing Show this year. I think that going to sit out a year. Think it's still, large crowds are still a little concerning to me. I don't like being sick, so I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait another year. Best feather to use in fly tying. Oh, Jeff, I can't answer that question. Pheasant tail, peacock girl. Trout seem to be really fussy lately. Trout tend to get tough in the fall. Trout do tend to get fussy in the fall. They don't feed as much. They really shut down their feeding as the water temperatures cool. And unless you're in an area where summer temperatures are really warm and it starts to cool in the fall, sometimes they get active. But trout do slow down their feeding in the fall, and it gets tougher. Would you use it in northern Patagonia? Yeah, trout or trout, Santiago. Trout or trout, mayflies or mayflies, and this fly will work probably anywhere in the world. I don't. When I go to Patagonia, I use the same flies as I do here in the States, and they seem to work fine. Jungle cock on flies for the fish or the fisherman's eye? Oh, definitely for the fisherman's eye, Graham. They're beautiful feathers. I love to use them. I have some that I've had for many years, since before they were illegal to own or to buy. And yeah, they're beautiful, but they're for the fishermen, definitely. I think you could paint eyes on a fly or put stick-on eyes and have it, if not as effective, probably more effective than jungle cock eyes, but they're beautiful feather, and I do like to use them. I'm having a skunky spell. Everybody's having a skunky spell. I'm glad you guys are. Having. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's in misery for being skunked lately. What are you and Tim tying in next month? Tie up. Oh, glad you reminded me. I don't know yet. I got to figure something out. Tim's been bugging me, and I don't know what we're going to tie because it's my turn to pick. So I have to pick something real quick. I'm going to do that in the next day or so. R2 from Finland. Well, welcome. First time catching us live. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here today. All right. Well, it looks like the questions are deteriorating quickly. Oh, what side can I look up on how to set your indicator on? Aha. Yes, we have a video. Joe, go to the Orvis Guide to Fly Fishing on YouTube, or go to the Orvis Learning Center. Probably the Orvis Learning Center is the best place because there's no ads there. And go to the Orvis Learning Center. You can find that with a search. And look on Advanced Intermediate Tactics. There's one called Indicators and Dry Droppers. And that talks about all kinds of indicators, where to set them, how to put them on, so on. So that should be very helpful for setting an indicator. And I see Phil put the Learning Center link up there. Preference for dry fly thread. Yeah, Steve's 12-0, Orvis 12-0. And Kieran, yes, Jungle Cock Cape. It's actually per an international treaty, it is illegal to sell jungle cock internationally from one country to another. There are a few people who grow them in the States, and you can buy them, but we can't import them from any country. And I think you can get them in the UK. They're just difficult to find and they're expensive, but you can find them occasionally at a fly fishing show or something. And they are legal if they're grown in your country of origin. So it's just illegal to sell them or trade or whatever across international borders. Bloody Mary nymph. Never heard of that, James. My entry-level vise just broke. What's a good vise for a beginner that won't break the bank? So I think if you're going to stick with fly tying, I would go with there's a couple. Actually, I have a couple samples here that I just got because I wanted to show them in another video. There are two that I recommend, and one thing is you could just buy another entry-level vise, but it's not going to last that long, and it's not going to do a lot of the things you want to do. It's not going to hold all the hooks. So there's two vices that I recommend. One is the Regal. Maybe Phil can look it up, but there's a basic Regal vise. Excuse me while I pull these out. I got to put them together, so bear with me, but we got time. There's a basic Regal vise. Got to figure out how to put this together here. Been so long since I had a new vise. So this is a basic Regal pedestal vise, and I think this one is either around $100 or $200. I think it's the Regal Traveler, but it's really nice. You can rotate it, so you can tie rotary. Not the easiest thing, but you can get a rotary feature. It has a locking knob here. where you can lock the lock it in place, and then you can lock the angle.
It's 190, Tom. I just put the
190. Okay. And this is not tightened. There we go. So you can lock that in place, and then you can adjust it with an Allen wrench to lock it at any angle you want. And it's got a it's got a pedestal base, so it's nice and convenient. You can move it around. And then the other one I would recommend.
Whoops, we seem to have lost Tom. Perhaps he lost power out there in the wilds of Paulet. We'll give him a minute to see if he can come back. Anyway, my guess is that the other vice that he was going to recommend. Yes, I'm live, Tanner. I know. Anyway, I'll post the link for all of the vices that we have. I'm not sure which one Tom was going to recommend. Let me text him. This is what it means to go live. He's probably frantically trying to get back on. Julia would handle this with much more aplomb, I'm sure. Well, my guess is that Tom lost power, which when you live out in the woods like we do happens pretty often. Yeah, because he's not even responding to a text. Oh, nope, he just responded. He does still have power. Hold, please. He's checking. This is riveting television, isn't it? I don't even have a fly tying set up here for you. Here, I can entertain you. This is my new guitar. Oh, he's back. No, he's not. I thought he was back. 1970s. Yamaha. Very nice. Yeah, boy. I think we might have to call it, folks. Doesn't look like Tom is going to make it back. Well, thank you for sticking around. Here we go. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Sorry Tom had to bow out. Luckily, we got through the fly pattern. Oh, Bill wants to know how many guitars I have. 6 between me and the kids. What have I got? I've got a Martin acoustic. I've got 2 parlor guitars acoustic. This new one I got is a 1970s Japanese-made Yamaha G50A classical guitar. And I have a Fender Stratocaster. Wow, maybe we need... Oh, here's Tom. Is he back? He's back. Oh, we can't hear you, Tom.
How's that?
He's back. Bill, my margin is 15.
I heard the whole thing. I could hear you. I didn't lose power. I don't know what happened.
We've been
Some
talking
glitch.
guitars while you're gone, Tom.
I heard you. That's the first time that's ever happened. I don't know what happened. Anyway, the other option is Renzetti, which I'm opening up right now. Sorry about that, folks. I have no idea what happened. So this is the, I think it's a $98 Renzetti. Which, unlike the Regal, does not have rotary features. So you're basically with the standard vice configuration here. But it's a beautiful vice. It's really well made, as all Renzetti products are. And I'm not going to put it on the base, but it's a basic cam vice. Again, adjustable with an Allen wrench, and it's just a basic cam vice. That's the jaws are adjustable, and it's beautifully made. It has a nice pedestal, and it works well. But you can't tie. Actually, you can tie rotary with it. I'm sorry, I've never used this, but it has a set screw there, and you can rotate the vise while keeping a hook in the jaws, secured in the jaws. So anyway, those are I think your two next options up from a basic kit vise. They're both American made. They're both really nice pieces of machinery. Yeah, I highly recommend both of these vices if you do want to upgrade. So anyway, that is the fly tying for today. And I don't see any other questions, but glad we got through that vice demo. Phil, you're on mute.
You better quit while you're ahead. Who knows?
Yeah, I better before I really do lose power. Anyway, I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, and you get together with some loved ones and say thanks for all the good things in the world. And we will see you next Monday. Next Monday, I'm going to be tying Puglisi's spawning shrimp, and special guest Enrico Puglisi, who is always fun to have on these tying sessions. If you haven't seen one of my sessions with Enrico, he's a real character, great guy, great fly designer. And so we'll hopefully have Enrico here next Monday when we tie his spawning shrimp pattern, which is one of the more complicated bonefish flies you can tie. Most bonefish flies are pretty simple. This one's a little bit more complicated, but it's my favorite. It's my go-to fly when I go bone fishing. I love bone fishing, and I find it effective for bonefish and redfish and carp. Even though carp don't eat shrimp, they eat the spawning shrimp. Anyway, thank you, everyone. It really means a lot that you come here to these tying sessions, and we will see you next Monday. Thanks.